Welcome to Worldwide Birds, your home for the sights and sounds of the bird world. From stunning feathers to fascinating facts, let's take flight together.
Welcome to the deep dive. Ever wondered about a really vibrant parrot from Australia that might just be the unsung hero of the aviary? Today we're plunging into the world of the red-rumped parrot. We're using an insightful article by aviculturist Louis Bothma as our guide.
Right.
Our mission, really, is to pull out the key facts about this parakeet. You know, where it comes from, why it might be a great pet, breeding details, and, well, something quite surprising it can do.
Exactly. So the red-rumped parrot, Cephalus hematonotus,
Yeah.
that's the scientific name.
Okay.
Cephalus kind of hints at their speckled look,
Yeah.
and hematonotus, well, that means red back, which is pretty distinctive.
Makes sense.
They're native to inland southwestern Australia, and what's really striking, I think, is how well they've adapted. Unlike some species, they've actually done quite well with human changes.
Really? How so?
Oh, things like clearing land for farming. That created more of the open grasslands they like.
Oh, interesting.
And you'll even find them doing well in, like, city parks and golf courses now.
Right. Okay, so this adaptability is a big part of their story then. But despite that, the author, Bothma, he feels it's a great pity they get overlooked. Calls them one of the most interesting parakeets around.
He does. And he's got reasons for that enthusiasm.
So what makes them so appealing, especially for maybe beginners?
Well, several things. First off, they don't need massive cages. That's a
Yeah.
huge plus if you're short on space, right?
Definitely.
And food-wise, they're not fussy.
Not at all.
Easy keepers then.
Pretty much. And here's something really noteworthy, that they're actually among the quieter parrots.
A quiet parrot, that's unusual.
It is. They have what he calls a melodious song. Apparently, their German name, Singsittisch, literally means song parakeet.
Wow, a singing parakeet.
Yeah.
That really shifts the perspective if you're worried about noise.
Absolutely. And there's more. They're known to be hardy birds, generally quite tough.
Good.
And they breed relatively easily, too, which is, rewarding for keepers.
Uh-huh.
Crucially, they tend to be good parents. That's not always a guarantee with birds in captivity. No, definitely not.
Plus, a very practical point.
Oh.
Telling males and females apart. Super easy right from the start. The article even has a picture, female left, male right, clear as day.
Okay, that is handy.
And for people who like variety, there's now a whole range of really beautiful color variations, mutations that have shown up in aviculture.
Ah, mutations, like different color forms bred in captivity.
Exactly, like you see with dogs or cats. But these are natural genetic variations people have selected for.
And these color mutations, you mentioned they boosted their popularity. The article says a surge of interest.
Precisely. Yeah, these new colors really caught people's eye, made them fashionable again, perhaps.
So if you're breeding them, any tips for the colors?
Bothma gives a pretty straightforward piece of advice. Just pair birds of the same color if you want predictable results. Otherwise, you might get, well, unexpected mixes in the chicks.
Right. Keep it simple.
He also mentions, just briefly, that there were 2 wild subspecies identified. But honestly, there's been so much interbreeding in aviaries over the years that those distinctions are kind of blurred now. It's not really relevant for most keepers today.
Okay, got it. So we have this adaptable, fairly quiet parrot, comes in lots of colors. But this next thing, this is what really grabbed my attention, their skill as foster parents.
Ah, yes.
The author says they have no equal. That's a bold claim.
It is a very strong claim, yeah. But when you look at the list of species they've apparently raised successfully,
Yeah.
it's quite something.
Like what?
Well, all kinds of rosellas, Barnard parrots, cloncurry, many-colored hooded parrots, plumheads, even puricocuras and quakers.
Wow, that is diverse. Different sizes and everything.
It is, and it gets even wilder.
Oh,
They've even had success raising chicks from much bigger birds.
bigger. How much bigger?
Think gallas and major Mitchell cockatoos.
No way, but how? A red-rump hen is tiny compared to them. She can't possibly incubate those huge eggs, can she?
No, she can't. That's the clever part Bothma describes. He'd let the big eggs start hatching in an incubator, and then place the pipping eggs, the hatching chicks, under the red rumps.
And they just took over.
Incredibly, yes. They raised those chicks right through until they were old enough to be ringed. It really shows a powerful nurturing instinct, doesn't it?
That's amazing. Truly remarkable. Speaks volumes about them. But okay, the article does mention some important things to keep in mind if you want to use them as fosters.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial points. Both medalists stresses you gotta be sure the red-rumped pair are reliable parents with their own chicks first. Don't just assume they'll be good fosters.
Makes sense. Test them out first.
Exactly. And there's a biological limit, too. He points out that a hen usually won't brood for more than about 20 days after her last egg is laid.
Ah, okay. So timing is critical if you're swapping eggs or chicks.
Very critical, yes. You need to work within that window.
Right. Okay, shifting gears a bit. What about feeding them? You said they're not fussy eaters. Is their diet pretty simple?
Generally, yes. In the wild, they're mostly eating seeds from grasses, shrubs, that kind of thing. Interestingly, they don't seem to eat much fruit or berries naturally. But they do eat a fair amount of greens.
Okay, so lots of vegetation.
Yeah. So in captivity, Bothma suggests a, standard parakeet seed mix.
Yeah.
But he does warn about sunflower feeds. Limit those, or they can get overweight.
Ah, the dreaded fatty seeds.
Exactly. And then supplement with a bit of soft food and definitely some fresh greens to balance it all out. Keep it varied.
Got it. So adaptable eaters, adaptable to different environments. What about housing? Do they need huge flights?
Not necessarily huge, no. He suggests a suspended cage, maybe 600 millimeters wide, 900 high, and about 2 meters deep. That's generally enough.
Okay.
And if your cage is maybe a bit smaller, his tip is to put the perches right at the front and back.
Ah, to maximize the flying space between them?
Exactly. Gives them the longest possible path. He even says outside the breeding season, you could keep them in cages as small as, like, lovebird cages.
Really? That small?
Temporarily, yes.
Yeah.
But he strongly recommends moving males and females into separate, larger flights after breeding. Give them room to exercise, get fit, stay healthy before the next season.
Right, a bit of R&R and conditioning makes perfect sense. And for nesting, are they picky about their nest box?
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
He says they aren't fussy.
Okay.
Though he does give ideal dimensions. Internal size around 180 by 180 millimeters and maybe 450 high.
Right.
But if you're not planning to use them for fostering larger species, you could probably go a bit smaller, maybe 150 by 150.
Good to know. So let's talk about the breeding process itself. What's typical for red rumps?
Okay, so a typical clutch is usually between 4 and 7 eggs.
Right.
Incubation takes about 19 days, and it's only the hen who sits on the eggs.
And the male, what's he doing?
He plays the supportive partner. He feeds the hen while she's in the nest box.
Ah, nice. Teamwork.
Yeah. Then once the chicks hatch, the female does most of the feeding initially, but as they get bigger, the male starts pitching in more.
Okay. And how long till the chicks leave the nest?
Usually around 4 weeks old. Then they still need maybe another 2 weeks or so before they're eating properly on their own.
Gotcha. Now, there was a warning in there, something important about potential aggression after the chicks fledge.
Yes, this is really crucial for breeders to watch out for. Bothma warns you need to keep an eye on the male bird once the young ones are out.
Why is that?
Sometimes he might become aggressive towards the fledglings, especially the young males.
Oh, really? Like competition?
Kind of, yeah. The thinking is, as the pair gets ready to nest again, the father might start seeing his sons as rivals.
Wow, okay. Something to be really careful about.
Definitely. Also worth noting, they're pretty prolific. They can easily breed twice a season, sometimes even 3 times.
Busy birds.
They can be. And one absolute golden rule for housing: never, ever put more than 1 breeding pair in the same cage or aviary.
Ah, territorial issues.
Big time. Asking for trouble with fighting and stress. Keep pairs separate.
Understood. Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. The key takeaways from this deep dive, really drawing on Louis Bothma's experience. We've got these parrots. They're surprisingly adaptable, right? Handling human changes, living in cities.
Yeah, remarkably so.
Their care seems relatively straightforward. Not fussy eaters, don't need massive spaces necessarily.
True. Pretty manageable.
Plus, that pleasant temperament, quieter than many parrots, even described as having a song.
The sing-sitich, yeah.
They come in all these great colors now, thanks to mutations.
Has a lot of appeal.
And then there's that extraordinary, almost unbelievable talent for fostering other parrot species, even much bigger ones.
That's the real wild card, isn't it? That's fascinating.
It really is. So when you put all that together, their adaptability, their nurturing skills, it does make you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, what else might these, fairly unassuming little birds be capable of, both in our aviaries and maybe out in the wild, too?
Exactly. And could their success, their ability to thrive even when we change the landscape, could that teach us something, maybe offer lessons for helping other species that aren't coping so well.
That's a really interesting thought to mull over, definitely. Food for thought about conservation and adaptation.
It is. So for you, our listener, maybe this has sparked some interest. We definitely encourage you to explore more about these red-rumped parrots. Look up the original article, check out other aviculture resources. Who knows what other surprising things you might uncover about these charming Aussie birds?
Yeah, dive deeper.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.